Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back and aboard. Appreciate you being with us for another episode of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Coming to you on this Tuesday, a big game week. National finals in football coming up, the college football playoffs. The Final Four, the semifinals taking place on Thursday and Friday. Looking forward to talking about that and plenty of others. Mike DeCourcy will join us today from the Sporting News. J.D. Campbell, former IU Sports Information Director, with us as he is each Tuesday for Campbell's Corner. Today in the corner, Kory Barnett. How about that? So, nice, plenty of good stuff to get to. Plus, we're going to hear from Isaiah Jones, Elijah Surratt, Roman Hemby, Zen Mikowski. Zen Mikowski, who is a transfer from Ohio State, it's his second Rose Bowl, I think, he said. You know, he won back-to-back Big Ten championships with two different teams. First player to ever do that. He could have the opportunity, if Indiana wins against Oregon, he could get the opportunity to win back-to-back national championships. It's crazy. For Floyd Central, my high school. Rock on, Highlanders. How about them apples? All right. As my daughter would say when she was a little girl, what apples, Daddy? And she meant it. How's everybody doing? Appreciate you being with us no matter where or how you're listening. Especially in B-Town. On the zone, baby. Appreciate everybody out there. Hope your day is going well. The weather's not terrible. I mean, here in central Indiana, it's in the 50s. So, and I checked the forecast for Atlanta for all the fans that are going down. Holy smokes. A lot better than it was in Southern California. It's going to be 70 degrees, I think, on Thursday and 72 on Friday. However, this game is indoors. It is going to rain on Friday, I believe. A good chance of rain on Fridays. So, but this game is going to be indoors. Doesn't matter. So, that should make things a lot more fun. So much media going on right now for these guys that they have to do. We have a media events to do every day leading up to this game. Literally, yesterday, today there's more. I leave for Atlanta tomorrow, immediately after the show. Tomorrow night, late in Atlanta, there's media availability at 9 p.m. when the team arrives. And then there's stuff the following day at the College Football Hall of Fame, now in Atlanta, moved from South Bend. So hopefully we'll be doing the show from the Hall of Fame on Thursday. That's the plan right now. But man, hey, for all you peeps in Bloomington, babe, head out to Dave & Buster's. They've got great specials for all the IU games. $10 wings. 10 wings for $10, I should say. $5 drafts, $5 margaritas. It's a great place to catch the game with family or friends. Set up your next party there. Got gigantic wall TVs. And then tons of flat screens, Sundays or fun days, half price on games. Mercy. And our buddies down in Sellersburg at the Reynolds Family Dentistry, Dr. J. Keeps the smile going. Charlie Weiss Jr. and running backs coach Kevin Smith are going to be allowed to stay with Ole Miss. There's been a lot of talk and consternation about the coaching because of Lane Kiffin going to LSU, but Ole Miss is continuing to roll on. They're going to let Charlie Weiss, who's the offensive coordinator, stay. That's a huge deal right there. Position coaches, you can say, hey, you can live without it. But they're leaving the running backs coach and the OC. That's the important part. So, Brian says the World Congress Center is next door, I assume, to the Football Hall of Fame. Fan Fest at 2:30 and 6:30 at Building C next to the stadium. Let's see. Is that on? I assume that's on game day then. Joe says it seems like Lanning and Sig really like each other. Their press conferences were hysterical. I think that they're kind of similar in some ways in that they're both very, very good, but they're also very different. But I think that they have nothing but the ultimate respect for each other. How could you not? First of all, you don't have a choice but to respect what Kurt Cignetti has done. I don't care who you are. You don't have a choice. It doesn't matter what you've done, who you are, where you've been, what you think you know. Doesn't matter. None of that matters. It's all out the window. You have to respect what Kurt Cignetti is doing because he's done it. He doesn't have Cody Campbell writing checks for players. That's not what this is built on. And then now I'm seeing some people talking about, well, Indiana, because they've got all of these players. Have you noticed? If you're a subscriber to the Hoosier.com, and if you're not, you're missing out because that's where you're going to see everything. It's going crazy. The players Indiana is landing, the commitments they are getting. Big time. That's because they want to play for a winner, people. Yeah, everybody's going to get paid. They're going to get paid. They're going to get paid no matter where they go. But do you want to get paid and play, or do you want to get paid and win? And raise your game. Most of these people, these high-level players, they've got their sights set on other things, man. They've got their sights set on the league. How can I get to the league? Well, it looks like going to Indiana might be a good way to get there. That's what a lot of them are thinking. That's what they're seeing. And I think a lot of you are going to see a lot of draft picks this season. The development of these players and the winning that goes along with it. I saw Deion Sanders saying, let's face it, the only reason these players go to a different place is it's about money. It's about money. It's the only reason they leave is for money. I don't believe that. Josh Hoover is not coming to Indiana for money. You think Josh Hoover couldn't get money someplace else? Yes, he could. He could have got it at TCU. But I don't think that he thinks he could get the development, the personal development in his position at TCU that he can get at Indiana. And rightfully so. He just watched Kurt Cignetti take Fernando Mendoza, and it's not like he was a lump of clay, but this guy's a former two-star. Had a great year, had a good year at Cal. He's a good quarterback, no doubt, but he became a great quarterback. He became the probable number one pick in the NFL draft. So that's what these guys see. That's what they're wanting to be a part of. And rightfully so. And that's how you build dynasty. I don't want to say a dynasty. That's how you build a program. You know, people talk about sustainability. Is it sustainable what Indiana's doing, what Curt Cignetti is doing? Well, hell yeah, it's sustainable. Is it going to happen? I can't predict that. I think that it does because this is very organic. That is the key. Organic. It's not forced. They're not forcing jack. They're winning. They're kicking butt, taking names, and winning. And guys are going, oh, wait a minute. I'm sitting at home with my team right now, watching Indiana smoke teams like Alabama on their way to a potential national championship. I want me some of that. Hell yes, they do. People talking about the tight end that Indiana just got from Miami. Says he's originally from Indiana. Leo, that's crazy. Did not realize that. Well, Andrew says the portal looking good for Indiana. The rich getting richer. Well, in which way are you using the term rich? Indiana is not a rich team. That's the thing that I love, and a lot of people love about this. And there's some people that don't understand. They think that maybe that is the case. It's not. Indiana has not bought this. These are players that were not ranked. These were players that were not recruited by any of these teams that they're kicking the crap out of now. So, yeah, Fort Wayne kid. Wow. That's awesome, Brian. Thank you. Yeah, Tom Allen, Mayor Leo. Tom Allen, good dude. Hey, man. Let's leave Tom. Tom's a good dude. Hey, nobody did what Curt Cignetti's doing. You can't say Tom. Hell, Tom Allen had never even been a damn head coach. What about all the other head coaches that were hired that couldn't do it? So, not getting on Tom. And this doesn't happen without the transfer portal. It's not about Indiana being rich. It's about being very selective and smart. The smartest thing the Sig has done, he doesn't bring in rookies. Remember, production over potential. Production over potential. Indiana is an old team. By old, I mean veterans. He goes out and gets veterans. Guys that are smarter, older, bigger, stronger. They're going to make less mistakes. Especially when you're able to kind of pick and choose. Now when you've got guys really coming at you just nonstop, it's coming a little quicker. Can you always now, once you raise the level with this talent level, the trick is going to be still getting that. What Indiana gets right now is 110% from every player, 100%, 110% of the time. They're not making mistakes. They're doing their jobs, every single one of them. It's nuts. Wow, it's going to be fun to talk about. Fun to talk about. Yes, I am having fun. It hell of a lot different than the Archie Miller era. I'll tell you that. Whew, that one about gave me a stroke. Let's take a break. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News is going to join us today. JD Campbell. And in Campbell's corner, going to have Kory Barnett, current head coach at Oral Roberts, I think, right? Appreciate you being with us. We're back with more. Mike DeCourcy will join us on the other side right after these messages.
Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. Get more for your money at Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. That means a visit from the great Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, our nation's oldest sports reporting rag. No, just kidding. What was the old term back in the old days? I mean, before you, what did it, back in the
they called it that.
When they wore the little piece of white paper with the word press written on it in their fedora, that was the credential. That was it. That got you in everywhere, apparently.
The rag has been used absolutely.
It's not. Yeah, I didn't mean it in a negative connotation.
No.
I was trying to think. I was thinking old days. Because it was newspaper. It was paper, man. You had it in your hand, and I got to tell you, I missed that so much. I was a weirdo, I guess, but it started because when I was a freshman in high school, I had it was some general class, but every Friday we had a current events quiz. And I think most of the stuff came out of the newspaper. I was a newspaper reader, sports section, but I expanded it because of being competitive. I'm like, I want to win that damn thing. I don't care if they were playing checkers. I was going to try to win. So I'm reading the paper I read the paper every day, every week, and I would kick everybody's ass in that. It made the teacher mad because she wanted other people to come on. I'm like, nope, I know. It was just funny. But that was the start of my, I love to have a newspaper. I don't get to do it that often, but right. And I'm not alone. I know a lot of people still, miss that and still do it some, but even like Sports Illustrated or Sporting News used to actually be a magazine, right? And they don't.
Oh yeah. Well, we started as a newsprint publication way back 140 years ago. We will celebrate our 140th birthday in March. We started as a newsprint publication and were that from, I think, 1886 all the way up until about 1997 or so. And then we transitioned to more of a magazine format where the print stock went up, and the print stock improved over the next 15 years or so multiple times. But it's funny because back when we still had the magazine, but it wasn't what it was. It wasn't the same concept as it had been in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s when I was growing up. And so people would come up to me and say, "Oh, you work for the Sporting News, man. I miss the box scores. I miss the way it used to be." And I'm like, "What you're saying is you liked it better when I didn't work there." That was basically the message people would send. The box scores and all that stuff that faded away when USA Today started a publication where that was pretty much all there was. That was baseball box scores. There wasn't much. There was some copy in there, but not a ton. But the baseball box scores were all in there. And then the internet came along and you could get stats easily at your fingertips. And so it wasn't necessary anymore. So we had to give you something different. And I thought for the time that it was still not financially punitive to do the magazine, which we ended, I think, in 2012. I thought we did a really good publication. I was really proud of it. I still have pretty much every issue I've ever appeared in stocked up in my basement. My wife is not happy about that. She would rather there be more room for Christmas decorations, but I'm not giving up on those newsprint and magazine type sporting news. Not while I'm around.
That's like George Costanza's dad. He had every copy of TV Guide, baby. No, I'm kidding. No, I would do the same. It is portaling, baby. Everybody's going portaling now. And this year has quite a different feel for the Indiana Hoosiers as they are in the middle of preparing for yet another biggest game of their program. But at the same time, they got to deal with this while they're prepping. And it has to be a little difficult is not the word, but distracting, because the thing about what Indiana is doing is preparation. And to take away from that has got to be, you would think that it hurts it some, but it happens to Oregon as well. But boy, they are killing it in the portal. And it's not that they're having to go get them. They're not the ones out there throwing the line in the water. The fish are jumping into the damn boat.
That's the magic of what Curt Cignetti has done for Indiana. It's been amazing to see. There was obviously the quarterback battle. And you see various ratings and that sort of thing. I know Texas Tech spent a lot of money on Brennan Sorsby from Cincinnati. I watched almost every game Sorsby played this year, and I really like him, but I have not seen the TCU quarterback that's going to come to the Hoosiers. But if I am a quarterback, I want to play for the guy who just turned Mendoza into a Heisman winner. That's what I want. So I really
believe that Brendan Sorsby's decision was about money and his girlfriend. He's from Texas, by the way.
Right.
And his girlfriend transferred to Texas Tech right before his stuff even happened. So it was kind of a given that that's where he was going. But his decision to me was from the outside, looks like it's when you make a decision that quickly, it's like, okay, well, and other things, maybe going home was that big of a deal. But Josh Hoover, I think his decision was made on, I want to get better. I want to be the best I can be. And I think that this gives me that opportunity. Ironically, the two guys we're talking about right now, Sorsby is a former Indiana quarterback and Josh Hoover is a former Indiana commit. So that is kind of wild in that sense. But he is, I think, the quarterback with the biggest numbers that was coming back, thrown for over 9,000 yards, more than Sam Levitt. And I think that he's the kind of guy that Curt Cignetti loves to have. He is a great, great kid. Fernando's 6'5", and I think that Josh is more like 6'1" or so.
6'2", I thought I was the listing I
saw.
Kind
of like Alberto. And that's another thing people are asking about. What about Alberto? Alberto's fine. Alberto will have 3 years remaining, and I think that he trusts what Curt Cignetti is doing, and I'm sure that they probably have had conversations saying, look, I think you need one more year of this, and then it's going to be Alberto's turn. Not that he won't have a chance to win the job. I mean,
we've seen this a few years back during the Tom Allen era. A kid transferred in, I'm forgetting his name, from Arizona, was the expected starter, and it got beat out and left the team. So, but don't expect that to happen. We expect it to go down like it will be. So, but it's not just this. Indiana's landing all these other guys, Mike, from all these different Notre Dame, from all these different places, from Miami. It's like, okay, buddy, it's on. But Indiana, everybody, I've seen people say, "Oh, rich getting richer." Indiana's not rich. They didn't build these teams by being rich. Again, you all need to look at the level that where these guys came from. None of these guys were recruited hardly initially by these other big time teams. As you can see, they're coming back. Zen Michalski, an offensive lineman, he's an Indiana kid, came back from Ohio State. The kid from Miami, the tight end, is originally from Fort Wayne. They're coming back. It's kind of funny seeing these guys that have left and are now coming back home.
It's the appeal that Indiana has built for itself by getting the coach hire as right as anybody else has ever gotten a coach hire. It's one of the most astounding stories in college football history. And the important thing now is that although you have to do your business, you have to make sure you're not falling behind for 2026. 2025 is not settled yet. And they've got a grand opportunity ahead of them. And look, if they win on Friday, they don't win the tournament. But I believe, and I think I'm going to guess you believe, that this will be the most difficult game that they play. Miami is defensively tremendous and has a few significant offensive assets that will bother whoever wins this game.
And they would be playing against Miami in Miami.
Right. But I do think that this is the one that's going to be the most difficult for both. And I don't assume that just because Indiana went to Oregon and won at Oregon, that means it's going to happen again. I think they will, but that doesn't mean it. I mean, you think about a year ago, Ohio State went to Oregon and they played a game that was as close as a game could literally be. I mean, it was similar to what the Steelers did with the Ravens, where it came down to a single missed field goal. It was as close as it literally could be when Ohio State went to Oregon in the 2024 season. And then they went to the Rose Bowl in the quarterfinals of the CFP. And it was as big a blowout as it can conceivably be between two teams with those kind of talent structures and records. Ohio State embarrassed Oregon. So you have to go into this game knowing that you have to play extremely well. Dante Moore is a legitimate threat. I mean, people now have on the mock boards have elevated him to number 2 behind Mendoza. Whether or not it goes like that, I haven't even looked at the draft boards and whether there are 2 teams that'll go 1-2 that need quarterbacks, but those will be 2 of the very first players taken. So there's great danger on the opposite sideline for the Hoosiers, and they have to be ready for that.
And, we bring this up, having played them already, I don't know what that does really. Having played them once, it was a long time ago. Indiana has made multiple changes in multiple games since then. So I don't know how much that's actually going to matter in this. It's the third time that we generally are talking about that. If you've beaten a team twice, it's always hard to beat a team 3 times. Well, hell yeah, of course it is, unless they're terrible. And if you're both equal, well, yeah, it's hard to do that.
My response
it's hard to do it the first time.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I say. It's hard to beat a good team 3 times. No, it's hard to beat a good team once. It's hard to beat them once. The third time isn't any harder than the first 2 times were. They were all hard. You have to play great to beat a good opponent. And Oregon's terrific. I mean, you saw that against Texas Tech. Oregon made bad decisions strategically from the chasing point standpoint. Twice in the first half made bad decisions trying to go for it and convert when field goals were available. in a game at that point where it looked like points were going to be pretty tough to come by, and they didn't get those, and they still ended up shutting out Texas Tech. And I think the final score was 23-0. So it could have been close to 30 if they'd taken their chances to kick field goals that looked like the better option. So I think it's pretty obvious this is an outstanding team. And they got some of the tough wins out there. They went to Iowa and won. The Iowa showed what they were capable of when they went into the was it the Gator, whichever bowl they played Vandy in and wrecked Vandy pretty good. This is a good team, and I think the Hoosiers have a chance to be a great team. But this is a significant hurdle that's coming up Friday.
Oh, no question about that. I mean, it is going to be the toughest game, I think, tougher than playing Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship, obviously tougher than playing Alabama because they stayed in Tuscaloosa. I was shocked. I was on the field for that, and I just – they had zero answers, and I saw the shots, the TV of Kane Womack, and they just look like they're like, what the hell's going on? I don't think they were ready for the 110% impact of IU's line, of how hard those running backs run. When you watch Kalon Black and Roman Hemby run, they look like they're already in the NFL. These guys run so hard. It's amazing and fun to watch. But that was unbelievable. And SEC fans right now, I don't know that they even know what to do. They're sitting there just spinning because they can't believe what's happening. And even I put out a tweet the other day, the day after the game. I was in my hotel room, and there was an ESPN program on. Now I'm forgetting the guy that eviscerated both Paul Fonbaum and Cam Newton. They were
it was Ryan Clark. It was
Ryan Clark. So I happened to catch and video that little segment in which he absolutely eviscerated them. And it was perfect. And this is a guy that played in the SEC at LSU. So I'm like, wow. And the fact the greatest part was, I'm like, nobody's going to mention the fact that Cam Newton's dad got $250K, that we're talking about this. This is what the SEC was built on. But that tweet is, last I saw, 1.9 million views. And I'm like,
wow,
what the hell? I think that everybody's kind of sick and tired of this SEC overkill. It's crap. All these teams that they were trying to sell that were so great, I've said Texas A&M was not. They should have never been number 3. They were not a top 10 team, in my opinion. I looked at their resume over and over. It was kind of like Notre Dame's. There's nothing special on it. Nothing.
Well, they had the Notre Dame win. That was what it was. That was what they had. And then they played basically the bottom of the SEC the rest of the way. And
yes,
one of the things that bothers me about the process or the conversation around the process is the push for analytics, the push for computer ratings, the idea that the committee is the problem with how teams are selected, and that's the issue. And the automatic bids have got to go. And what we saw is that the analytics that are out there, the metrics that are out there for football, which what I've argued for years is that, and especially recently as the CFP has grown, is that you can look at Ken Pom in basketball, you can look at the net, or you can go to the opposite side of the metrics where just you talk about the results metrics, no margin of victory, no efficiency, et cetera, like strength of record from ESPN or wins above bubble. You can look at those and they have some validity, Jim, because teams from the SEC play teams from the ACC, and teams from the ACC play teams from the Big 12, and teams from the Big 12 play teams from the Big 10, and on and on and on. There is a lot of intersection there. in the college football world as it exists right now, and next year will change a little bit, there is almost no intersection among the major conferences. How many games did the Big Ten and SEC play this year prior to the bowls? Like 3, maybe, if that. I mean, we had Ohio State, Texas, and not many others. And so you can't really know. So there's no numbers that are going to tell you the answer to that question, Jim. There just aren't. It's all based on it. Like you can use a formula, and it may tell you what the best betting option is. It may or may not. And if you want to use those formulas to take it to DraftKings or FanDuel or whatever, that's your money, your call. But you can't base a sport on that because there's just not enough validity. It's not that the formulas are bad. It's that the data is bad. So, and the data was what was spitting out the SEC this year. And once again, what we see is the SEC is undefeated in hypothetical games, but in games that are actually played out on the field, not very good against the Big Ten or anyone else. What the final bowl record was something like 2-7 against like they played each other a couple of times in college football playoff games like Alabama, Oklahoma, et cetera.
2-7 against non-SEC teams, and they were favored in 7 of the 9 games.
It's crazy. So you can't base it. You cannot base it on strictly data, analytics, whatever you want to call it. There has to be a human element to this as it stands now. And I applaud the SEC and the ACC for introducing next year the component to their scheduling that you must play a Power 4 opponent. I wish the Big Ten would follow suit on that. I don't understand why they're not. Don't they have to? I think they'll lose bids, Jim. I do. I think that
I thought that they were. I'm like, I was shocked that they didn't already do this. I'm like, they've got to follow suit, man. Come on, because the SEC has met you, and you've been throwing all that shade at them. So now they've done it. So now you got to not only you got to shut up, you got to follow suit.
Yes, I really believe that they will lose bids if everyone else is doing it, and the Big 12 has already done this. So if the other leagues are doing this and you're not, your schedule is going to be weaker, and your schedule is going to be weaker is an excuse to let other teams in from whichever leagues. I don't understand why the Big Ten has not gone along with this. It obviously is too late for 2026. So they need to get it in place as soon as possible. I hate to see the idea that they will lose bids that they probably are worthy of, because we've seen that when they get into the playoff, they perform really well. They've won they won last year's in the first 12-team format, and they won Michigan before that, and so they're working on. They will definitely have a team in the final with a shot to make it 3 in a row.
And then we talk about Notre Dame playing against a completely different set of rules, but we'll talk about that on the other side. We've got a break coming up. The great Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News with me. Hope you're having a great day. Back with more right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to
Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your... Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. Get more for your money at Andy. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. We were just talking about the potential change in the CFP, but and I mentioned Notre Dame. They play with a completely different set of rules. They don't really have any rules. No one's what's being required of them? Nothing. These other teams are being required to play 9 conference games and be required to play another P4 team on top of that. And Notre Dame gets to cherry pick a schedule that has, a couple of decent games on it, and that's it. And 2 years in a row, they have lost at home. One to a team that should have never lost to. Second one to a team that I still think was a middle-of-the-road team. But regardless of that, Texas
A&M.
Texas A&M. I
thought that was a road game. I thought that was
it was at Notre Dame, and it made it tougher. It's a tougher win. Definitely not comparison to Northern Illinois. No, I'm not saying that at all. But it's just there's no requirements of them. Well, we know what a conference looks like when we can kind of look and compare that. There's none of that with Notre Dame. They're playing all of these crap ACC teams, and you throw in Army and Navy. It's just there's no way to compare them with these conference teams, and that's their problem.
Well, I think there is a way to compare them, and we did that this year. Well, not we, but the committee did that this year and judged them to be wanting, and did so correctly. They played 2 really difficult games and 1 okay game. The 2 difficult games were Miami and Texas A&M, both playoff teams. The third game was a home game against a team that I think finished 4th or 5th in the Big Ten in USC. Was not a great opponent, but was not a bad opponent. And then the rest of their opponents were mediocre to terrible, and a lot of terrible. I mean, there was a ton of terrible in there. There was Boston College and Arkansas. So many bad teams, and they wanted rewarded because they beat those bad teams by a lot of points. Who cares, Jim?
Yeah.
I don't care how many points you beat a bad team by. That doesn't make you a good team, or maybe it makes you a good team, but it doesn't make you a great team. It was such nonsense to hear so many complaints about Notre Dame getting left off for going out and beating a terrible schedule by a lot of points. That just doesn't matter. Especially when you have played quality opponents, Miami and Texas A&M, and lost both times. I don't know why you're supposed to get a pass for that. Look, the biggest mystery to me in college football is why Notre Dame wants to be independent so badly. It doesn't make any sense to me. Their players they're shorted the opportunity. They're not granted the opportunity to do what so many other players in college football, what nearly all college football players can do, and that's celebrate a conference championship. There is something to be said for that. What Indiana was able to do on the floor of Lucas Oil Stadium in early December, and that celebration meant something. They had achieved something, and the same for Georgia at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Atlanta, and et cetera, Texas Tech. They all achieved something important. What does Notre Dame do when they go 11-1 or 11-2, 10-2? They complain. That's what they do. You left us out of the tournament. They could have been in there as automatically as conference champions. They had shorted themselves the opportunity by 50% of avenues to the playoff. Everybody else has 2. You win your conference championship, you're an automatic. If you don't, you have the opportunity at the at-large. All Notre Dame has is the opportunity as the at-large. And I understand now that next year they're going to have that more or less codified that if they do X, they'll be in. But that still isn't the same thing as winning a conference championship.
And I don't know, why are they giving in to Notre Dame? I know that
why they're doing that, I don't know. I find that to be honestly offensive. It should be this.
Every school president should be offended, in my opinion, though.
Oh, I don't look. If the college football playoff did not have Notre Dame, and I mean like ever, because Notre Dame said, "Oh, you're not granting this demand, we're out." If they didn't, Notre Dame would be the one that would trend toward irrelevance. They're the ones that would eventually shrink if they couldn't play for the national championship. They may not disappear, but they would shrink. And we have seen national powers shrink before. It's not like it's unprecedented. Florida in the 90s and 2000s was a force in college football with Spurrier and then the Meyer regime. They were an absolute force. And now they're just another team in the SEC that can't even get to the level of getting their butts kicked in the college football playoff. So Notre Dame would be the one with something at risk if you said, no, you're going to follow the same rules as we've done from the start. If you're worthy of a bid, you'll get one. Now, if you want to join a conference, then you can win one as an automatic, or you'll get one as an at-large team. But they keep choosing to do it this way. Their refusal to join a conference it blew up Big East football. If they had joined Big East football when they were in the Big East, there would still be a Big East football league because no one would have wanted to walk away from Notre Dame. And if they were to join the ACC now, they could shut up all that Florida State carping, all the slightly less audible Clemson carping, and rescue ACC football and bring a sense of stability to college sports that we could certainly use. But instead, it's this selfish, well, this is the way we've always done it. Jim, I've talked to multiple people at Notre Dame who have worked there, who are there, mostly who have been there and are gone, but people who have been in that program, and asked, like, why do they want to be independent? And nobody can give me a good answer. Nobody
I don't
can
know
even
that they know. Before I understood, because they were making money that maybe conference individuals weren't making. That's no longer the case.
Right.
So not only would they still get that money, they would have a lot more assurances in a lot of areas.
Right.
Their teams would benefit, I think, in a lot of different areas. But hey, let them do what they want to do. Eventually, who knows? I think they're going to expand the playoffs to the point where it won't matter, and Notre Dame will get in simply by burping. And just you got to let them in. Can you believe we've gone this long? And I could have continued, but I'm only stopping just because of the fact we haven't mentioned basketball one bit, and this is January 6th, January 6th. And no mention of basketball, not because they're terrible, just because this is the most incredible story. And I will say this, and I know that people will say, oh, you're a homer. I don't think so. I think this is potentially the greatest. I'm sure that you can come up with some other ones, but this might be the greatest sports story ever in sports. Because who is, other than the Bad News Bears, who the hell has gone from the rock bottom to the mountaintop like this without a Cody Campbell, without, all these outside reasons? It's unbelievable. Coaches around the country are marveling. They're like, what the hell is he doing? What's going on there? What are they doing that we're not doing? It's crazy. And I do think if they win the national championship, it will be the greatest sports story ever.
Well, that you have to remember, we're 46 years now removed from the Miracle on Ice. That's going to be tough to top.
I was thinking that one came to mind, but I'm like,
those guys.
I mean,
I still think this is. Oh man.
I
think that was more of a national thing that made it even more.
But in the improbability sense, I mean, that team, while composed of a lot of very fine hockey players, some of them who went on to significant NHL careers, they were still playing against what was acknowledged then as the greatest team in the world, and they took them out. And here's the one thing about this weekend's game and potentially next week's, the week after's game, is that you'll be able to see it on live television. Whereas in 1980, I still was at they're the two greatest, craziest sports events of my lifetime, Jim. And that's obviously we've been around a while. The two craziest things, the Immaculate Reception and the Miracle on Ice, I saw neither of them live. Think about that. Because I lived in Pittsburgh, the blackouts were still in place. And so I and my family listened to the Immaculate Reception game on the radio. Couldn't watch it. You could watch it in Indy and Indiana, but you couldn't watch it in Pittsburgh. I knew people who drove to Ohio and rented hotel rooms to watch it because it was the Steelers' first playoff game in forever. And then the hockey game, I was visiting some friends. I had two friends who went to Auburn at the time, two of my very dear friends then. And I was down visiting them, and we were hearing through the radio that this was happening. And then we wound up going to some sort of like student, what do you call that? Student Assembly Center, student union, and watching the replay that night. But it's not the same. So you get experiences now that you take for granted. And I didn't get those for either of them. So I will watch Friday when Indiana plays. And then again, the following Monday night when the championship is played. And so whatever happens, I'll get to experience that live. So what it can become is the most improbable athletic story that I actually got to see live.
Is Bill going to the game?
I believe he'll be in Miami for the championship game. Yes.
Sounds great, man. What is up next for you?
Well, up next for me, I've got a bracket dropping probably at around 11 or noon or so today.
We're talking basketball, people. I know this is foreign to you.
Have brackets now for football. We're already in there. But yeah, I'll for Fox Sports social media sites, I will have a new bracket up, and I think there might be some good news for the Hoosiers after. I think some other places have already had them in, but I did not have them in last week. So that's out. And then Saturday, I will be in studio at Big Ten Network. We have a couple of games on our air early Saturday afternoon, and then the big show, et cetera, that night. So plenty to keep me busy. And I've got a column coming out. It might just be dropped now about the NFL MVP race and why everyone is getting it wrong.
Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. Make sure you're giving him a follow, keeping up with his great content. Appreciate you, sir. As
Thanks,
always.
Jim. Always a
thank you, buddy. Make sure you catch him out at the Big Ten Network as well. Plenty more coming up. Campbell's Corner, J.D. Campbell and Kory Barnett, current head coach at Oral Roberts, back with more right after these messages. Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. Get more for your money at Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for being with us. Joined now by J.D. Campbell for Campbell's Corner. And in the corner this week, familiar name, Oral Roberts head coach, Kory Barnett. Kory, how are you? Thank you, first of all, for taking time out. I know you guys are busy. Season is underway, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you to J.D. for
Kory, can you hear him?
I can, yes.
Okay. Jim, I can't hear you. So thank you again, Jim, for giving us this opportunity for a little trip down memory lane. Kory, I just wanted to tell you how great it is to see what you're accomplishing. And, you know, I do stupid research, and you're the first Indiana Division I basketball coach that doesn't have a tie to Bob Knight. And that's something that when I saw you at the reunion or the Hall of Fame, I thought to myself, and even when I talked to your dad when you were hired, I thought, man, now we got one. Now we got one. And talk about just the surrealness of what you were experiencing in that journey to become the head coach at Oral Roberts.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was blessed enough to be able to go and be with Coach Steve Alford for 11 years, and that was an incredible opportunity. I was a GA under Coach Crean, or that incredible year we had with our Big Ten Championship Sweet 16 run, and thought I would be a GA the following year. Then Coach Alford took UCLA and took me with him, and then the real journey and the grind started. And this has been a dream of mine since I was in high school. It's part of the reason that I chose Indiana, and instead of trying to go play low major or potential NAIA or D2, I knew being a walk-on would help the rest of my coaching career, and learning from Coach Crean and Coach Buckley and that entire staff, and just being around the history of the program and all the great players and coaches who have come before me. I knew would help speed up my basketball IQ, learning how to coach the game, learning how to play the game, learning to see what wins and what loses. And we went through a lot of it there. I think God put me there for a reason. Obviously, with the first year being 6 wins and how hard it was, you just felt like the pressure and the burden of it and the ownership. And I think it's really important, especially now. I draw back to that season a lot more than I thought I would, just because a lot of guys don't understand how hard winning is. And when you can just kind of float to the next program and leave it behind, like, you don't fully understand the letters that you're honoring on your jersey and what those mean to so many people. And so just being able to constantly come back to that, like Coach Crean did a great job with us while we were there at helping us understand every single day what Indiana meant, and what wearing those candy stripes meant, and who we were honoring that came before us. And so it obviously was an incredible journey with Steve going to Nevada, and then was with Coach DeVries last year in West Virginia, which then led to an awesome opportunity here. And this was a no-brainer for me. It's been a dream of mine to step into not just any head coaching role, but one that I felt like God really had called me to. And when this call came and this process started, it was something that I knew would be an incredible blessing to my family. And thankfully, we've been able to start it off here. Don't have the record that we want, but we've had a lot of season-ending injuries and had to deal with a lot of adversity. And this first year is going to be a lot of laying this foundation of how we want this program to look moving forward. And our guys are doing a great job at continuing to leave a legacy every day with their work and their passion and their mindset that they bring to practice and they bring to every single game. So.
Well, I know I talked to you a little bit about in my text about getting the chance to watch you guys Saturday on CBS Sports Network. And I know that every conference is tough, and especially when you do two game road swings.
Yeah.
And I thought the way your kids fought, especially I saw the first overtime and the second overtime, your team just they left it all out on the floor. The offensive rebound, I think you had 2 or 3 shots when you were behind by 2, and you got the offensive rebound and the layup. And that to me epitomized what I thought the kind of player that you were. Because what, again, my job was to know you. And then I went back last night and read some things. You were part of the Indiana Elite program, I think, since the time you were in 6th grade. And one of your best friends was Danny Moore, who you ended up playing with. Mm-hmm. You know, it said you guys had been playing since the 6th grade. And on those teams, you had Tyler Zeller, Matt Roth, Emmanuel Negadu. You had a lot of great guys that you got to play with. So your chops, who was coaching those teams when you were with Indiana Elite?
I had a couple different coaches coming up. Mark Adams, Drew's dad, was one of them. Chris Byers, but Mike Fox was mainly my coach throughout. Mike did a great job at pulling a lot of that team together, and obviously it was a really special group. And I know you left out Lewis Jackson, which I get it. He's a Purdue guy. We had I get it too. But it was a really, really good team. I mean, it was probably the best, most talented team I've ever been a part of, even with those Indiana, just because we had 8 guys. There's 3 guys come off the bench who were going to go to the Big Ten. Walter Offit ended up going to Ohio State. Like it was, It was loaded. So it was, every single game was fun. And I still keep in really close touch with those guys. And funny enough, a lot of those guys, like you named, have been getting into coaching, whether it be Matt Roth in high school or Walter Offit got into college.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of them have transitioned. And I think we all just kind of understand when you go through this, you just realize how much the game gives you. And how much you learn from your coaches and what that leaves in you and how it helps you become the man that you want to be. And it just leaves a longing in you to want to try and get back as much as possible. And those Indiana Elite teams in that program meant a lot to me and still does. It's something that I try and get under the Adidas circuit as much as possible. I'm a little bit biased, but it's one that we follow very, very closely.
Kory, we talk about recruiting still an important part, even though we live in a completely different era of college athletics now with the transfer portal and all that. But how important are these grassroots programs still, like the ones that you talked about, that are very prolific here in Indiana and produce a lot of talent?
Yes. No, I mean, they're massive in my opinion. And being with the right programs, I think speeds up a lot of guys. We pay a lot of attention, especially to high school and AAU, of who you play with. And if you play with certain programs that just do it the right way, that teach you how to play basketball, that teach you reads, teach you fundamentals defensively, it just helps speed up the process because you don't have a lot of time. And if you bring in a freshman, we had a recruit here yesterday, and I was telling him, I said, I'm recruiting for a reason. I feel like you can play in on day one. You have an opportunity to play on day one. If I didn't, then you probably come here for a year, you sit, you get better, then you transfer. So who your coach is now in AAU and in high school, that means a lot to us because they're teaching the things that are going to impact our program next year. And so we make sure we do a really good job of recruiting the family and recruiting all the coaches that are around these individuals to help try and speed up those processes as much as possible. And again, I'm very, very biased, but there's very few that do it better than Indiana Elite in the state of Indiana as a whole. We have multiple guys on our roster, from Lane Sparks, who unfortunately had the ACL injury, but Alex Kudo, who's redshirting for us, will be a great program player for us moving forward, who's a Carmel High School point guard. But I'm going to recruit the crowd out of Indiana just because guys come from there, have a different edge to them, they have a different toughness to them, and they've been coached at a high level and gone against coaches that are at a high level. So they've had to think the game, and it speeds the process up to where they're a lot more ready to play, and they make winning plays a lot more consistently than others.
Former Indiana player and current Oral Roberts head coach, actually former assistant to Steve Alford, former assistant to Darren Vries. JD, you mentioned not a connection to Bob Knight. Damn, he's got every other connection to Indiana besides that one. That's the only one he doesn't have. JD Campbell with us as well. JD leading the way here in Campbell's Corner, baby.
Go ahead, JD. Take over the corner. Oh, he can't hear me. Trying to. That's right.
Yeah.
Poking each other.
Yeah. Kory, a lot of people may not know about the history and tradition of the great Oral Roberts program. I started following basketball when I was 8 or 9, 1972, 1973. And the Mabee Center, which is what you play in right now, they had some really great teams. And I noticed, I saw a couple of your tweets, some guys came back and were looking at that. And, for people who don't know about Oral Roberts, talk about the great tradition. And obviously, they had to sell you, too, on the great support. And very recently, they made some noise in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of everything, to be honest with you. Like you said, I mean, the Mabee Center is one of the more historic arenas, and I wasn't aware of it until starting to research for this job and the opportunity. And whether it be the Elite Eight teams or whether it be Coach Self getting his start here, he was incredible during this process of just kind of picking his brain and what this place was and what it looked like and how it affected his career and how much him and his family loved Tulsa. Coach Buzz Peterson, who I'm very close with, he was in Tulsa, loved the city and loved this area, and talked about the state of Oklahoma and how if you just recruit Oklahoma, you can get a lot of really talented, hard-nosed players that can help you build it the right way. But ORU obviously went to the Sweet 16 a few years back, and they built this incredible facility that I'm sitting in. It's one of the better practice facilities I've ever been in. We have everything here from our academics to both gymnasiums for us and the women's program to our weight room. And Tim Johnson, our athletic director, did an incredible job at utilizing that run and not allowing it to just come and go. He utilized it to raise the funds to be able to elevate this program in a real way. And I think it's set up to become something really special. We just got to keep chipping away. And I feel like there's going to be a dam that's going to be broken. And once we get everybody in here right away that are our guys who are going to play at a high level, and it's already started here in year one, and we're looking forward to building that as we move forward here.
Now, you bring up Bill Self, and again, doing some back research, didn't know. I knew your father when I was at Bowling Green because of him, I got to wear Nikes, back then with Dan and with Dan Dockich. And, we had these clunky Reeboks shoes, and then we went to Adidas and at BG. But, man, we were the coolest team on campus with those Nike outfits and stuff like that. But I was really surprised to see that you not only had different scholarship offers, but you had a chance to walk on with Kansas, and you had already committed to Indiana before the Kelvin Sampson situation happened. So you were coming here, and I know you were very grateful to Coach Crean to allow you to continue to be a Hoosier. And it's like I say, I could go on and on about your impact. 3-time academic All Big Ten Sportsmanship Award winner. And just talk about what was the deal with Kansas?
Yeah, honestly, Kansas was the first one to have the idea. Coach Self and my family had been close throughout, and my dad had built a relationship with him during his time at Nike, and when Coach Self was all the way back to Illinois. And so I'd kind of been around him and learned from him, and I was around Steve, and then I actually took a year off in between middle school and high school because I was young for my grade. And so that year, since my dad was in the apparel business, I was around a lot of coaching, whether it be Buzz Peterson at Tennessee or Steve Alford at Iowa or Coach Self. And I was able to kind of see the behind the scenes and what it looked like. And that is what really gave me a passion for wanting to be a coach. And so I went on a visit to Kansas, and he was the first one to say, hey, stop looking at all this low major and other stuff. Like you can go there and you can battle and you can potentially get a chance to play. But if you really want to be a coach, go to a program where you're going to have a chance to get a scholarship later on, but start as a walk-on. And then if you do that, you can really lean in and just get a guarantee to be a GA. And I would love to have you here. And it was an unbelievable opportunity. Then Coach Sampson heard the same thing that I had been thinking it. And thankfully he offered the same type of offer. And being an Indiana boy, that was a no-brainer for me to have an opportunity to put on the candy stripes. And I went to one of his practices and was instantly like, was this a good decision? I'm not really sure. I don't know, but these loose ball drills, if my body's going to be able to sustain. But I was blessed enough to be able to commit to him. And unfortunately, what happened. And thankfully, like you said, it was a little bit of a limbo where once he was let go, what would happen, who would come, and Coach Crean honored that same offer, and 5 years there, and the rest is history. So it's been a wild ride, and my journey as a coach has taken me to a lot of different places. And I tell our recruits all the time, like, I'm not sitting in the chair that I am right now without the giants who stood before me and sacrificed for me and spent time with me and invested in me. And I take a lot of ownership in what I do, because I know I'm not just honoring just my mom and dad and my family members. I'm honoring a lot of people who believed in me and spent their time on me. And it's something that I'm very humbled and grateful for.
Kory Barnett, former Hoosier player, coach around the country, now head coach at Oral Roberts. JD Campbell with us. Campbell's Corner happening. Glad to have both with us as always. And Kory, coaching is climbing the coaching ladder is such a difficult thing. You have already been, we've heard how much time you put in climbing just to get to the point to where you can get to the ladder. Right. I mean, it's the work that you have to put in just to get to the ladder to start climbing. It's a grind. And I don't know that people understand. I don't know that they understand. They see the salaries that some of these big coaches get, but I don't think they understand what all that they've done before and what all happens while you're coaching. It consumes your life like nothing people can understand. And when I say 24 hours a day, it's about that. Yeah. Working in the media, I know what that's like. So I can imagine what a coach's life is actually like. But how do you manage all of that and still have sanity? Yeah,
I think, like I said, the journey was the journey for a reason. And I was really intentional about preparing for this. And what we talk about as time all the time as a staff is creating margin. So just being really disciplined, being able to go to Steve Alford, who learned a lot from Bob Knight, but more than anything else, the one thing he learned was just the organizational piece. And it is very militant in terms of his day and how he's organized and how he organizes his staff. And I learned a ton from that, because if you're not an organized individual, you lose all margin. You're stressed. Is there things falling through the cracks? How do we didn't think about this. Why do we think about this? How do we make sure we think about this? So I was very diligent in terms of who I hired, why I hired them, what I wanted them doing, how I wanted them communicating with me, what that would look like, and trying to build as much structure as you possibly can to create margin where you can still enjoy that time with your family, the short amount of time that you get. And thankfully, this has been a really, really unbelievable blessing, just because I learned from Steve in a real way of, I want our families around. I want all my staff's families around. I want kids running around this building. I want them in practices. And my 8-year-old Brooks, we've had Christmas break here. He's been at almost every single practice and rebounding for guys. And it's not only is that unbelievable for me as a dad to watch my son rebound for our players, but I think it teaches them a lot. Like, it's our guys get to see that what we say is what we mean. Like, this is a program that is going to be built on family and investing, and they see us as real human beings of, we're not just yelling at you because we want to win games. We're yelling at you because we care about you. And this means a lot to this entire program and our families. And it gives them a different edge and a different passion. And so we want to continue to lean in on that. And obviously being at a spot with an administration who supports us in the way that we do, we're really, really blessed.
Former Indiana player and current Oral Roberts head basketball coach Cory Barnett in Campbell's Corner right now. JD Campbell with us as well. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with plenty more on the other side.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC, local lives here.
Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is Fun Day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play.
If you're
looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area? You need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your... Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. Get more for your money at Andy.
Zen Mahalski, you transfer in from Ohio State, an Indiana guy. You come back home to the Hoosiers, and man, does it come full circle. First of all, you win a Big Ten championship by beating the Buckeyes. Now we're in the Rose Bowl, and you just beat Alabama. You've beaten Iowa, Penn State, and Oregon already. Can you even try to encapsulate that?
Man, I mean, yeah, like you said, it's hard to put into words, what it means to just be on this team, and I'm just so grateful to Coach Signetti for bringing me in, believing in me, Coach Bostad, the guys accepted me, and I'm just so happy that I've been able to play a role and contribute this year and just help us win games, however it is.
There was Zen Mikowski, a former football player for the Hoosiers, or not former, he's a current football player. Can you believe Kory Barnett, former Indiana basketball player, current head coach at Oral Roberts, J.D. Campbell, and got Campbell's Corner going on, former SID. This is our basketball segment for today, Kory. We have been nothing but football in January.
As you should be right now.
I still, it's still crazy. But yeah, it's nuts. It's fun to see. And man, it's just been a blast for Indiana fans. It's crazy watching Indiana fans have the same affinity for an IU team as they did for this basketball program.
No doubt.
And man, if they get both of those going, Katie, bar the door.
Yeah, no doubt. We had 3 Hoosiers on this staff who are big Indiana football fans, including me, and then we got 2 Ducks on the staff. So this bloodbath, yeah, it'll be a whole different deal. So we're excited.
Indiana
there's obviously no betting; we can't gamble, but there's been some fair banter back and forth.
Friendly stuff. Who are your Hoosier assistants?
So Isaac Green was with Coach Woodson for a long time there. He had spent 6+ years in Indiana. In my opinion, was one of the best basketball minds I've ever been around. Works his absolute tail off. So I brought him here with me. Thankfully, he decided to join us. And then we have a GA named Caden Raudenkroser, who was with the program for a long time, and he's done a great job. And then I have a GA named Reed Little, who's went to Oregon, and then my SID. Max also went to Oregon. So there's a lot of banter going back and forth. We also had a ton of Oklahoma fans that were saying once they beat Alabama, what was going to happen to Indiana. So they've heard it quite a bit from me.
JD, I'm sure you're having a blast with that as well.
Kory, you also have the other Corey Alford.
Yep.
With you. And so you're, you got it going. So I don't know what your schedule. I know you play Saturday.
We do.
So I'm sure after maybe a walkthrough or something Friday night. They've canceled basketball games in the state of Indiana.
Have they seriously?
On Friday. So
they have rescheduled them. Yes.
Well, yeah. It's surreal. Because
that's incredible.
I'm coaching at Bloomington North now. And our practice workout on Monday night's canceled because they rescheduled the North-South game.
Wow, that's pretty insane. It's so cool. What Signetti has done, I think it's potentially the biggest, the best coaching job I've ever seen in sports. He took over and to do it in the way that he did it, and to do it with the confidence that he did it with. I won't mix words. When he came into Assembly Hall that first time and was just talking about Ohio State and Michigan, I was like, wow, that's one confident dude. and he backed it up with every word. And I really enjoy watching his post-game press conferences and his weekly press conferences, and just his mindset and how he attacks every single day and workout. And you can just tell he's different. And Isaac Green talks all the time about when he was there, they did a workout outside back at the outdoor football or indoor football facility. And he said the team was gone. It was in August. So the football team was gone playing, and their guys are working out. And he said, so the only people who were left behind for the football program were the ones not traveling. So it was the walk-ons or the red shirts or whatever. And he said they were finishing a workout, and the way that the door flew open and every single individual sprinted out and jumped over their basketball players to be able to sprint to the weight room. He was like, it left a ridiculous impact on me. Just they run everywhere, the intensity level, like the passion level. He said he does an unbelievable job, and he's obviously built a really special staff around him that holds those guys to that standard on a daily basis. And you can see what it does. It's special, and it's fun to watch, and it's really, really it's been a blessing to follow.
And I'll tell you, it's fun to watch because of the players he's doing this with. Indiana's never had a 5-star. They've got 7 total 4-stars.
Right.
And they're beating these teams that are loaded with 5 stars and 4 stars. And so it shows, even in this era of college athletics, coaching matters.
Yeah, it does. No, and he's obviously one of the best coaches that there is in the country. And I'm really, really happy that he's in Bloomington. I'm looking forward to the statue that's going to go outside Memorial Stadium at some point of him.
Kory Barnett with us, former IU player, J.D. Campbell. Campbell's Corner. Let's go, Mr. Campbell, Mr. Corner.
Well, one person I also want to mention is part of the Oregon staff, and that's Jack Smith, Tracy's youngest son.
Oh, wow.
Is on the Oregon staff. So you got a whole lot of, Kory, because you remember the two Kip and Mr. Arnett being part of our program that first year. We were very close with Tracy and his staff. And, speaking of closeness, that's really what I took away from that Hall of Fame banquet that happened in September when Cody Zeller went in. And one memory that stands out to me was when we came back from Atlanta and the fans were all out in front of Cook Hall. And I remember you specifically addressing the fans. And that to me was like, there's a mixture of all these guys that you're seeing right there. And I know a lot of them wanted to be there and couldn't for various reasons. But that group, as is most championship teams that you're a part of, what a special bond. And I know for me, I'm fortunate that I have great friendships from people I played with, even in Little League. And so if you could talk about the bond that you guys have and how great it is for 2 years in a row, first Victor and now Cody going into that IU Athletics Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, I was blown away. I've told our team this multiple times, but just going to that entire ceremony, being able to see people that I hadn't seen in so long. I hadn't been back there since Jordy's wedding, which I think had been close to a decade. It was a little under.
Did you wear the candy stripes?
I did not wear the candy stripes. I wasn't there in time for the candy stripes because of coaching, but it was such a fun time. But to be able to see everybody that I saw and be able to get that time with them. But what I was really blown away with was just Cody's talk. Like he did an unbelievable job, but he didn't talk a ton about his family, who I know has impacted him in an incredible way, or his unbelievable wife, or like the majority of the entire speech was just about his teammates and how much the impact that they made on him, and how we've all kind of figured out just how to do life together. And when you go through struggles and when you have the highs and the lows, like how we've supported each other. And I'll just say, like, it was a massive blessing just to sit and just take in his speech, not only his, but every single other one. You could just tell how special that time was for him and every single person who was inducted into the Hall of Fame that day. And it's something that you don't ever get back. And it's a really hard, and now in today's climate, to help these guys understand that it goes like this. And for some of these guys, it's 9-10 months. That's all they're going to be at a university if they choose to go 1 year and transfer. And unfortunately, that is the climate that we're in. And there's going to be plenty of that after this season for every single program. And so this group, even more than any other time, it's so special. And you have to be able to lean in and be present and not think about what's next or what the agent is saying or what mom and dad are saying or what the handler's saying. Like, you have to really be with your group because you're never going to get it back. And I cherish those times. And those are some of my brothers. I have probably 4 different threads with 4 different seasons of teammates and different, guys who I was closer with, guys who are like our full team threads, guys who we literally have our entire practice squad who it was against that our senior year team. We have our own thread, and we'll randomly text what others are doing. Congratulations on babies, weddings, but most of it's just having fun with each other and talking about Indiana football and just being able to stay connected and be doing life together. And so it was a really cool blessing to be able to get back there and see those guys. And it's something that I really cherish. It's one of my favorite parts of 2025.
Yeah, I think one time I got to come over to your apartment. I don't know what for. It's probably some interview that we had to set up. But who were your roommates in that said apartment that I could, because that senior class of 2012, I mean, went through a lot.
We
want to
did.
talk about adversity, you guys should be able to handle just about anything that's thrown at you after dealing with the 3 years of building the program back. And when is it going to happen? When is it going to this? When is it going to be that? Talk about, I'm thinking, were your roommates Verdell and Derek Elston?
No, so actually my roommates were Verdell and a kid named Ben Higgins, who was just a random student who I'd known from high school, who ended up becoming the Bachelor, and has now made a whole claim to fame on being the Bachelor, who's still one of my best friends. But we roomed right next to Derek and Victor, and of the year before, Jeremiah Rivers was my roommate. So we all were very intentional about constantly being in the same type of apartment complexes because, part of it is, like you guys have mentioned it, but it's a grind, like going through the practices you have to go through and the work and what you do to your body and what you put in your body food wise to try and get back to where you can put in the work 4 hours a day. It's tough, and not a lot of people understand it. So the more we could be around each other and support each other through that, we were very intentional about that. And Coach Green was very intentional about that. He knew who your roommates were. He wanted to make sure that you guys were connecting in the right way. And he did a really good job of making sure that we really leaned into those relationships in a real way.
So it's safe.
So are you telling me
never went out to eat with me?
No.
Cody did, and Jordy.
So are you saying that there was a former Indiana player that was on that was the Bachelor?
No, he wasn't a player. He was just he was a high school rival of mine. We became best friends. We played AAU together. And to be honest with you, it's kind of a funny story. We had an NFL fantasy draft, and he got injured and ended up going through long story short, he ended up putting on a little bit of weight. So we go to my wedding, and he's looking a little chubbier than he ever has, and he is around the basketball program. And so then after a full year of that, a year later, all of a sudden he goes and somebody throws his name in the Bachelorette. And so he goes to the Bachelorette, he gets to the final 3, he becomes the Bachelor. And under 2 years from my wedding, where he felt like he was the overweight guy on my groomsmen staff, well, most of them are, Indiana basketball players, or I had a Michigan basketball player. Like, it was, most of them were high level D1 athletes. And he is on a 20-story building in Times Square in New York as the Bachelor, and becomes one of the most famous Bachelors ever. He was the 20th Bachelor and continues to have a podcast to this day, and has built a whole life around it, and is an unbelievable human being who's given back in a ton of different ways. But he's a diehard Indiana basketball his whole life. And thankfully, Coach Green, I think it was one of the only times he ever let a player room with a non-athlete, because he knew Ben was around our program, and he knew what kind of person he was. So it was a blessing to be able to room with him my senior year.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I also want to ask you, I know for me, which game that I thought we had turned the corner, but I'm interested in your thoughts of, at what time did you think that we could do something really special that year in 11-12, because there was a lot of doubts,
Yeah. And there should have been, because we year 3, we thought we had the group to be able to go compete, and we just didn't. We never turned the corner, and as a group, we were disappointed in that we couldn't figure it out that season to have the breakthrough. But like it's in testament to Coach Crane, like he kept us. Obviously we bring in Cody and we bring in Yogi, and we have great groups who end up coming in. But he still believed in that group as my junior year, and then my senior year, he stayed on it, and we really felt like it was coming. And then at NC State in the ACC Challenge, we knew how good they were, and I just thought going in, they had an Indiana guy in Scott Wood, and you felt like, okay, this is a game that's a huge pivot point for us, and if we can find a way to win this game, it's something that we can kind of hang our hat on, and we can kind of always go back to of that's who we are, that's where we are. And that's where I personally felt the breakthrough. When winning that game, I felt like kind of the floodgates opened, and we had a different level of confidence and swagger to us. And now when games start to be 1-2 possessions, we've done this before. We've broken through on this. We're not that old team that we were last year. And obviously having Cody Zeller helped a lot, because he was one of the more special players that I've ever been around.
Yeah, I thought it was the Evansville game.
Got it.
Because Evansville was coming off. We were supposed to open up the Ford Center. The schedule didn't work out that way, so they hosted Butler and beat them. And, of course, at the time, Butler was the Indiana football of NCAA basketball. And then we went into the Ford Center. It was the second game ever in that facility, and we ended up winning by a very big margin. In fact, it wasn't even televised. It was one of the first games that the only way you could get it was streaming, which was foreign to everybody.
Yeah.
Now you just go down the schedule every night, and the majority of all games you can get some way, somehow, through a subscription or anything like that.
Yeah, no doubt. I remember that game. It was definitely a pivotal game, because it was one of our first road games that season. But I will lean back, like that group, to go through what we went through our junior year, and that was where we felt the burden more than any other year, just because freshman and sophomore year obviously had a whole new group, and we're trying to build it the right way, and we're having these long practices. We know what the future is coming. That junior year group, we really felt like we were going to have that breakthrough, and we didn't, but we continued to lean in. And obviously that senior year, we came together in a real way. We had an unbelievable start to the season, and to go win multiple road games and beat Butler when that was kind of a huge pivot point for us. And then obviously the Kentucky and the Watt shot that everybody knows and talks about. But there was a lot before that laid the foundation to put us in a position to where we would have the confidence going up against a team that was number 1 in the country and had the players that they had to be able to go in and win that game. The foundation was laid prior.
Yeah, no question. Jim?
Yeah, Kory. So now when you become a head coach, you've been the assistant and you've seen the pressures of a head coach, but now it all falls on the head coach's shoulders. What's the difference for you now on a daily basis of how you have to attack your job?
Yeah, I mean, I've always taken a ton of pride in, like, you affect every environment that you step in, but now every action, every word, all body language, your energy level, all that affects the entire program. And so, yeah, it starts from the top of coming every single day. And I'm blessed enough to where God put me in a university that I love. And then, like you guys have already mentioned, but I have an unbelievable staff around me. And I adore my family more than most. And I love both my 2 sons, Brooks and Blake, and my wife, Sarah, but I also love coming to work. I love being with these guys. I love building it in this way. And even whatever you go through, like I really learned along the way, you don't want to, like, you're going to win or lose. Like, you're going to lose games. And you want to be around people that you're okay losing with, because you still love diving into it and figuring it out. And how do we turn the corner, and how do we have that breakthrough? And this group is special. Not only the 14 guys we got on this roster, but this staff I put together. They come to work every single day. They have a serious edge to them. They're trying to find any way that we can have 1% better. And I'm very, very thankful that I was able to put together such an amazing staff in such a short amount of time. And I'm very, very confident in what we're going to be able to.
Well, I know that they're fortunate to have you with the experience you have, with the drive and the desire you have. So and the person, most importantly. And I think that I've learned from Coach Signetti, and you mentioned their staff, how important and critical the entire staff is. I mean, that's what there's a lot of their success is coming from. And you're obviously heading down that same path. I cannot thank JD enough for setting up, have you join us. Cause again, I know during the season, man, this stuff doesn't happen. Thank you so much. What a pleasure to get to see you for the first time and meet you. Hopefully we get to do this again. We'll keep up. And I hope everybody becomes an Oral Roberts fan.
There you go.
Support Kory along the way, baby.
Yes, let's do it. And thank you, JD. You meant the world to me. I appreciate you both.
Yeah, Kory, thank you. And of course, you know now that I spent a lot of time up in your old neck of the woods with my 2 grandchildren being in Granger. And every time I go through Rochester, I stop and you know, put something on your statue.
Thank you. Statue, get out of here. You know, go to Streamliner and get a breaded tenderloin because I miss him.
Okay. Well, listen, tell your father, mother, everyone that I said hello, and I appreciate the friendship that we've had for, you know, more than 25 years.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming on and taking the time, and we'll be following you. You guys have games on CBS Sports Network, and
we do. Yeah, we mix them in on Midco Pro and then some CBS Sports Network games. So it's going to be a tough league play. Unfortunately, we got the preseason #1 coming into our building on Saturday. So we got to get better quick. So this be a good.
It's an opportunity, baby. Just an opportunity, right?
Like Signetti said, it's not about them. We're facing ourselves every single day.
Cory Barnett, the former Hoosier baller, now the head man at Oral Roberts in Campbell's Corner today with JD. Appreciate you. We've got more coming up. I think JD will stick around. Back with all of that and more right after these messages. Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. Get more for your money at Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Roman, I'm kind of curious. Coach Signetti talks about breaking opponents' will. You guys seem to have done that against Alabama and have done it all year. How do you guys approach that, and what does it take to break an opponent's will?
Really just 4 quarters of us playing our game. Honestly, you see the guys that we have up front, they work really hard. They make myself and Kaylon's job really easy. And we just try to out-physical some of our opponents. We really want to make it a 4-quarter fight to where we kind of impose our will, and at some point in the game, we feel like we could potentially break the defense or, make that play that helps us win.
Yeah, Roman, you guys have played kind of a series of teams, Ohio State, Alabama, Oregon, with, similar talent-laden rosters, 4-star, 5-star guys. I'm curious what stood out about Oregon, maybe something that they did well over those other two?
I feel like Oregon is a great defense. All the defenses that we played have been great. I feel like it was just the environment and the atmosphere that we played in as well that kind of played a factor into it. You look at their front seven; they have really good players up there. Their linebackers are really good as well. And then you look in their secondary, you see that they have a lot of players that are very athletic, and I feel like that presented a challenge to us the last time we played too. So really going back to the drawing board and making sure that we have the proper game plan. We go out to practice and work as hard as we can, and we'll have what we want on Friday night if we can do those things.
Hi, Roman. My question, you guys only have one fumble loss this year. What's the level of emphasis that's put on ball security every day?
We put a huge emphasis on ball security. We do ball security drills in practice. The running back coaches and players, we do a really good job of doing individual drills to where we take care of the football and we make sure that we carry good ball security throughout practices, and hopefully we can keep that going because we know that taking care of the football is really important for our offense. It's really important for our team. We want to sustain drives and really not give our defenses short fields to have to cover as well. So as much as we can take care of the football and control the clock, we'll do that.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. That was Roman Hemby, 1,000-yard rusher for the Hoosiers, and JD Kalon Black is like 12 yards shy of 1,000 yards. I don't know if anybody in this freaking country wonders why Indiana's kicking the crap out of everybody. They've got 2,000-yard rushers. They've got a quarterback that leads the nation in touchdown passes. I mean, how do you stop it? And speaking of breaking a team's will, I don't know that I've ever physically seen a team that looked more broken than Alabama did in that game. And I hate to say this because I have mad love for Kalen DeBoer and those guys. They were great people. But I'm telling you, just the shot of Kane Womack on the sideline, they didn't know what to do. I mean, it was like, what the hell do we do here?
No, and I think what happens is you have to really narrow your awareness because I think everyone keeps talking about, well, okay, now somebody's going to get them. Now somebody's going to get them. Not only do they not get them, they get embarrassed. And, somebody said something about the only 2 touchdowns that Alabama got in Southern California is when they touched down on the plane and then when they touched back down in Tuscaloosa. And it was, look, if Alabama
and they were down 24-0 when they kicked a field goal.
Well, yeah, and I really think there'll actually be more Hoosier fans in Atlanta because it's drivable. And
oh yeah,
I've got a couple guys. There's a couple guys on the Bloomington North staff in baseball. We started workouts last night. They're leaving and going. And I talked to Calbert yesterday. Calbert has been taken care of by the great Katie Bates. So, look, never.
I saw a picture of Jordan Hulls and Aubrey, and they were in the stands. It's crazy. And I got to thinking, JD, and you'll probably know better than I do, as you usually do. But by my estimation, and I'm pretty damn close because I was on the field. Alabama had like 3 sections in the corner of where they went off the field, and I'm estimating approximate 70,000 IU fans because someone said that 59,000 traveled, and I'm like, well, there's a bunch that live out there, but it's at 70,000. That's by far the most people who ever see any IU contest of any kind live. But I think that could almost be replicated in Atlanta. It holds like 80,000 at Mercedes-Benz. I don't know that the Oregon fans are going to travel that far, and Indiana fans are taking this over.
Well, you've got a couple factors there, and one, Georgia's no longer in it. So there'll be a lot of tickets on the secondary market for sure. And, again, I remember when we went to the Georgia Dome in 2012 and what a reception that we had. people driving down and made it to that game against Kentucky. We played the late game on a Friday night, and that's the thing. I mean, when you go 48 years or whatever it is without being in a Rose Bowl and you're a Big Ten team, that's there's a reason it's called the granddaddy of them all, because without question, I think it's the most prestigious bowl game to be a part of, with, no longer, the Big 8 doesn't go to the Orange Bowl. SEC a lot of times gets in the Sugar Bowl.
And this is the last year for the relationship with the Big Ten and the Rose Bowl because of the ongoing stuff.
Well, and again, I don't know, but there's going to be a lot. There's going to be continuous evolution every year, and they're going to try to make the best product that they can. Whether they achieve that, I don't know. If your team is not successful right now, you're really lamenting the state of college athletics, because you have basically a new team every year in a lot of ways, and you don't want a quarterback to be good as a sophomore or a freshman, because Brandon Sorsby, $5 million. How many NFL quarterbacks are making $5 million? Not many. But
nope.
You can't.
And people will say,
because
I think he made the right decision, because maybe he doesn't see himself as an NFL quarterback. I don't know. Maybe he thinks he can make it the way he's going, as opposed to Josh Hoover obviously chose Indiana for a reason. And that reason was to move to the next level. But he's getting paid, but I doubt he's getting $5 million. I'd be pretty confident on that.
The point of the matter for me is that you have 4 years. Some guys have even more now. Again, we still haven't, I don't think, recovered completely from COVID when they started giving, extra years like jelly beans. You've got 4 years to build a pool of wealth, and good for them, because the system is what the system is. I know a lot of people are angry about the kid from Baylor basketball.
Yeah.
Played professionally and come back in. But you know what? You can't criticize Scott Drew. You may be able to criticize the system, but if the system says you can do this, you do it.
Can't hate the players, gotta hate the game.
Ultimately, above everything else,
it's big change. JD, cannot thank you enough, brother. Thanks for Kory, as always. You are the man. Campbell's Corner. Big thanks to Mike DeCourcy. We're back to do this again tomorrow, people. Thank you so much. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.